Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. This has to stop. Enough is enough. Get in the comments on this. Two big stories involving two big clubs in England. In fact, let's add 3 or 4 in as well. We're talking about the future of Pochettino. We're talking about the future of Ten Hag. We're talking about the future of Ange Postecoglu. We're talking about the future of football. And I want to get your comments on this. We're also going to talk about the Premier League panel who have reviewed some of the incidents from last week. They vote in a 5. Apparently, Man City's first penalty should not have been given, voted 3-2. But also, the Havertz penalty should have been given, voted 3-2. We'll explain that in a moment. It's like getting the fire brigade out after your house is burnt down. I don't really understand the point of a Premier League panel. It's elitist. Oh, and I'll read all about it in a moment because I want to get into the other stuff first. But we get your comments in on this as well. Why do we need 5 people to tell us that we're right or wrong? Like, they're losing football, really, because football is about the fans. And we don't need to be told a week later that a panel of 5 experts have decided that 3-2, it shouldn't have been a penalty to Man City, but 3-2, it should have been a Havertz penalty. We know, we personally know. Do they not realise this? We don't need a panel, we need expertise in the game. How many... Man City have had a lot of decisions go their way this season. Does it help us if a Premier League panel comes and says they shouldn't have had that? It should have been offside. It's too late. It's too late. But look, what's not too late is for clubs like Chelsea, Manchester United and Spurs to make their right decisions. So the Telegraph this morning are saying that Chelsea will hold an end-of-season review following their final league game against Bournemouth, in which they will decide the future of Mauricio Pochettino. This is coming from the Telegraph. Gary Neville said last night at the documentary launch for 99 Treble campaign that Manchester United should keep Erik Ten Hag. There's not really any alternatives out there. And then all week, I've been listening to the radio, I've been looking on social media, and people have been doubting Pochettino, as if, like, not Pochettino, Postecoglu at Spurs. I mean, I was driving back from Wembley on Sunday, and obviously Spurs had lost their 4th game in a row to Liverpool. There were Spurs fans coming in saying, I've seen enough of Ange, we need to get rid of Ange. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what I mean about enough of this. Where do you sit on this as I drop this little truth to you? I see people on YouTube, on social media, in the media, they will say 2 months ago and be saying it for 2 or 3 months, Poch needs to go. Sack Poch. Tweets will even be there. Sack Poch. Get this joker out my club. Sack him tonight. And then I'm looking at it now and the same people are going, we need to stick with Poch. And I'm like, hold on a minute. With an opinion comes responsibility. There's also the freedom to do whatever you want to do. But there is also the freedom to be absolutely rinsed when people can go, here's this tweet, here's this tweet. Here's this video, here's this video. Sack Pochettino, sack Ten Hag. Oh, 2 months later, we need to keep him. Maybe just hold your fucking opinion for a little bit. It's so frustrating. I'm passionate about fan opinion, you know I am, and I'll read all your comments. But my point is, are we in a world now? Is it the TikTok thing? Is it YouTube Shorts? Is it Instagram Reels? People just want to go from one thing to another really, really quickly. How many of you would sit down and watch a film like The Titanic, 3.5 hours? You know, how many people would watch a film like The Irishman, 3.5 hours? You know, I don't think you would. I don't think many people do because they want to go shum, shum, shum. And it's the same with opinion. It's so short-lived. It's goldfish mentality. And it's so frustrating because I actually enjoy what I do here, but I actually enjoy it when I see a video or a tweet or an article that makes me go, I want to read that. And I don't see it very often. I just see people chasing stupidity, in a sense. Like, if you're going to say sack Ten Hag or sack Ange or sack Pochettino, then bloody stick with it. Don't watch results improve slightly and then go, stick with him. It's so frustrating because people lap this crap up. And look, I suppose in a way, for our community, it's great because we don't tend to do that. We make mistakes. Yes. People will say, you've said this, you've said that. But I've been consistently Ten Hag in because we're shit, but I want to see him with a structure. I don't want to see a manager get sacked instead of the players. And I've been consistent about that, whether it's a minority view or not. I haven't done a video 3 months ago saying, sack this bold fraud, sack Ten Hag, and then gone, actually, I want to keep him. I think it's such a big statement to make. And look, the Ange Postecoglu thing is the big thing. How the hell am I listening to people or reading tweets or watching videos of people saying, Ange ain't right for Spurs, let's get rid of him? Like, he's not even had a year. Not even had a year at the club, and people think they've seen enough. You're going to finish 5th place. You could even finish 4th, but you're going to finish 5th. That's an amazing season for Spurs. You're back into some sort of European football. You've played good football for half the season. You fell away at the end, but when you deep it, were Spurs going to actually have a good 9-month season? Like, logically, it's Spurs. There's going to be a drop-off because that's what they do. Ange's job is going to be next season. In a year's time, if Spurs are mid-table, you might go, maybe Ange was a bit, not the right guy. But I've seen enough of Ange now to decide he's not good enough. And I don't even blame the people who are doing it. I think they've just become indoctrinated and infected by what is happening. Nobody's got any patience anymore. Pochettino's not even had a year. Ten Hag's only had 2 years. Ollie had 3. Mourinho had nearly 3. Like, it's getting lesser and lesser. The job's getting harder and harder for managers. If they don't instantly hit the ground running with consistency, because look at Ange, he hit the ground running, but it wasn't consistent in the back half of the season. If you don't hit the ground running and be consistent, you're gone. I mean, I almost feel that the project that Arteta's done, I mean, he rode that storm, didn't he, with the Arteta out and the T-shirts and all that. He's rode that storm, but I almost feel if Arsenal started the season badly next season, and let's say they were 5th and they had a bad start and a couple of injuries, I think the Arteta movement would start again. I think it's bad for football. Like, it's really bad how impatient certain sections of fans have become, and contradictory as well. I mean, if I was a manager and I saw somebody doing a video saying sack me, and then I saw one say 2 months later saying keep me, I'd be like, these people are a problem for me, because they literally go from one extreme to another. I mean, I don't understand that, but maybe you can explain it to me. I don't understand how you can be really angrily passionate, chanting for a manager to be sacked, and then change your mind because you're wrong, because you're exposing yourself as wrong. Maybe just hold off on your opinion. I mean, look, for me, I've said about Ten Hag. With Ange, I've said about him, it's ridiculous. Like, give him definitely next season. And with Pochettino, look, I don't rate Pochettino, but I do think that the job is impossible at Chelsea. I would not have gone for Pochettino in the first place, but I wouldn't be sacked. They did. And the reason I wouldn't have gone with Pochettino is because I don't think he'll win you a title. And Chelsea are a team that wins title over the last 20 years. They've done it multiple times. But I think he can take Chelsea into the top 4. But that, I think, will be his limit. He's almost going to be the guy before the guy, if you know what I mean. And they need that. But I wouldn't be sacking Pochettino. I've never said to sack Pochettino, I don't think, unless I was winding Chelsea fans up. On a serious note, you get to a point where you can be sacked. And I think Pochettino and Chelsea, you always worry that it might happen. But logically, there's a lot of similarities between Chelsea and Manchester United, and even Newcastle. I mean, the way Newcastle keep it quiet about Eddie Howe is brilliant, because he's had a bad season as well, but there's never really been any movement to sack him, which I think is the right thing to do. I think Newcastle, Chelsea, Manchester United have been riddled with injuries this season. They've got bigger problems going on above the manager, and in different ways. I mean, Newcastle are trying to be a good football club, but they can't spend the money. Chelsea have spent the money badly, and it's a mess. And then Man United have had the Glazers. So everybody's got a problem above the manager. I don't think the manager is the problem at Chelsea, Newcastle or Manchester United. And I think that all three should be, using a bit of patience and going, yeah, definitely another year and then see where we are. This quick fix thing, I just don't think it works. But get your comments in. I find it really scary how there's no patience in football anymore. I've seen it with Branthwaite. I've seen it with Van der Ven. I saw it with Kim Min-jae for Bayern Munich. One bad game and they're at their shit. Like, it happens with players as well. People just write players off. I mean, I've been watching football for over 40 years. And not over 40 years, actually. I wasn't watching it in a nappy. But the point is, only Messi and Ronaldo were ridiculously consistent in my lifetime. Everybody else has a bad game. Everybody else has a bad couple of games. But you can't even have that anymore. If you had one bad game, you're finished. Like, Son's finished now because he's not played well for a couple of months. Salah's finished because he had a bad couple of months. It's bullshit. They're human beings. Anyway, get your comments in on that. Really interested to know what your thoughts are. Oh, just before I talk about the next section as well, it's gonna be a slightly longer show today because it is That's Football. Weekend, I'm doing I can't believe I'm doing this. Weekend, I'm doing Man City against Fulham at 12:30 tomorrow. I don't know why. I mean, I'll be switching it off again. I mean, what am I doing? I've played the game. I know what's happening there, but, you know. And then, of course, it's Arsenal at Old Trafford on Sunday. Looking forward to that. And then we've got watch-alongs every night next week because it's Premier League football, Villa, Liverpool, and then Tuesday, Wednesday. So really exciting. We're building towards the Euros as well. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Loving it. Really excited about it. I was out last night in Birmingham, actually. Went to a McDonald's. Was absolutely hammered. And loads of lads and people in there were talking to me. I don't know what I said. I don't know. I think I did a few photos, but I was absolutely hammered. Great night. But seeing all the pubs getting ready for the Euros, loving that. Absolutely loving that as well. Yeah. Oh, podcast out today. Scan the QR code. Go and give it a listen. It's on the homepage as well. You can watch the visual. But, you know, it's nice to listen to it when you're out and about, of course, if you're down the gym, etc. Premier League Team of the Season. Get involved in that, really good, and a preview of the weekend fixtures, so I don't want to get into that too much. But what I do want to talk to you about is this Premier League panel, which I mean, again, it's the inconsistency of this, isn't it? We hear about this panel every now and again. We don't even get it every week. But basically, this Premier League panel that exists that we don't really even hear about, it's called the Key Match Incident Panel, and it's independent, and it's made up of 3 former players or coaches, 1 Premier League representative, and 1 from the Professional Game Match Officials Board. So there's 5 people who vote on it. They voted 3 against, 2 for the penalty when Al-Nouri went in on Vardiel, and they voted 3 for and 2 against the Havertz penalty. They also voted that the Bournemouth goal that was disallowed was 3 for 2 against. They didn't even vote on the Rasmus Højlund one, which I've watched 5 times again today. It's not a foul. So yeah, I suppose that proves my point there. What do you think about this Premier League panel? It's 5 people when there's millions of people. I mean, I don't care. Why do we need a Premier League panel? What do you do with it? I don't get, and this is what I mean about, you know, I've worked in organisations like this where they have review panels who do fuck all. They're just justifying each other's job. Like, I'm so fed up of this. If I worked on a Premier League panel, I would do it every Monday morning. I'd get a video out, I'd explain it, and I'd say get in the comments. It's the world we live in, and people say it's a bit boring to bring into a show, Mark, but we do need to bring this in. What we should be demanding more. Like, if you can't do the job, get off, get out. There's people out there that'll do it. I'll help you run it. I'll help you run it. I'll tell you how to do it. I'll train the people how to do it. I'll train the people how to sit in front of a camera and do it in a way where they're confident and it involves interactivity. If you're going to have a Premier League panel, it's also got to have teeth. Like, if they get something glaringly wrong, then they should be suspended or sacked. Not sacked, but suspended. Send them down to the Championship. But ultimately, what does a Premier League panel do? So 5 people, 3 of them say it was a penalty for Havertz and 2 of them say not. So are we meant to go, we lost? They're right because 3 people said it was. I don't think it was a penalty. What about the red card on Saka? Didn't even review it. So it's not, the panel doesn't want to do that. It's subjective. It picks what it wants to pick. And you know what? I am going to give you a high five, 5 of you. You're not having any of my skin. Forget it. I'm not interested in 5 people telling millions and millions of people we're right or we're wrong. I think it's a red card on Saka. It's not a penalty on Havertz. It's not a penalty for Manchester City. It wasn't a foul by Rasmus Højlund on Henderson. And no one's going to change my mind. So I don't know what the Premier League panel does. It's almost like it's propaganda. To make people go, no, you think you were right, but the panel says you're wrong, so you're wrong. We don't need it. The only thing we need is consistency from the officials and VAR on the pitch. I don't need a Premier League panel afterwards telling me I'm right or wrong. It doesn't do anything. Oh, the Man City penalty shouldn't have been given. What, like the offside that they had that shouldn't have been given? Or the Doku penalty that should have been given? Like, you know, or the Rodri foul that VAR and Michael Oliver gave. It's a joke. And I tell you what as well. Oh, it's coming to this. Michael Oliver is on VAR for the FA Cup final. Now, you can clip this and do what you like with it. I don't even care. Out of context, in context. Michael Oliver is VAR for the FA Cup final. There was a brilliant tweet from a Man United account called Swedish Ramble saying that you shouldn't be refereeing games where there could be a conflict of interest. And apparently there is a bit of a... there may be a conflict of interest because Michael Oliver's been out to the Middle East to referee games that could be funded by Man City. I don't know. But my point is, that's not what I'm getting at here. This just shows you the arrogance of the PGMOL and the Premier League and the FA when it comes to fan opinion. They don't care. They don't care. I can list off Michael Oliver and Man City this season. I can give you six definitive decisions he's made that have been pro-Man City. I'm not saying corruption. I'm not saying anything like that. But he has made a number of decisions this season. The Doku penalty that he didn't give, the onside goal that he gave that was offside against Fulham for Man City, the Kovacic red cards, the handball that Chelsea should have got in the semi-final of the FA Cup, all Michael Oliver. So if you are the FA, would you put Michael Oliver on the FA Cup final? Just take it away. It's the same as what Forrest said about that game against Everton. We suspect that this guy might have an affiliation with Luton. Can you take him out? No, we're in charge here. It's the arrogance of it. Why would you put Michael Oliver involved in the FA Cup final? Because he's the best referee in the country. Yeah, fine. But at what point are you going to start punishing the best referee in the country for not doing his job properly? He's now going to get involvement in that final, albeit VAR room. And if a dodgy VAR decision happens, everyone's going to go, Mike Oliver. So it's like they should have done it in the Forest Everton game as well. Just take that person out of the equation so you don't create a problem for yourself. It's the arrogance. It's the arrogance of it. And you know what? You know what they do? They spend more time trying to fight against people who call them out than actually picking up the phone or having a conversation with them. Because ultimately, all I want and all you want is them to do their job better, in a way that makes fans feel content and part of the conversation, instead of being dictated to by ridiculous decisions. And putting Michael Oliver on the VAR for the FA Cup final when Man City are in it is incredible. Just don't put him on it, and then next season's a new season. And, you know, if hopefully there won't be any Michael Oliver decisions around Man City where people go, oh, you know, that's happened again. But to compound a bad season for him by putting him involved in that game is incredible. And in no way am I saying that he is corrupt or anything like that. If you want to do that, you better be able to prove it. But what I'm saying is, why give yourself the heat? Why put that in there? And ultimately as well, is this football or is it wrestling? Because it feels to me like you've got a World Heavyweight Championship wrestling match, and then the referee is a guest referee who doesn't like one of the people competing in it. It's almost like, we want to focus on the football. Don't give us other stories that it's officiating. Just give it to 6 people that will not. There's no story there. It's incredible, really. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. But the Premier League panel, they can do one. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't know why we need 5 experts. I mean, look, the big problem with the Premier League panel, 5 people reviewing decisions, is that you don't know what their relationships are. You don't know what their intelligence is. You don't know what their expertise is. Look, some of the greatest managers in the world fall off. Some of the best referees in the world make mistakes. There is no 5 people that can tell millions of people they're wrong. There is no expertise. This is the big bloody problem. So why have we got a panel? What we need to do is get back to fundamentally improving the officiating and the use of VAR so that we do not have to review these decisions in the bloody first place. I mean, reviewing a review. VAR is literally video review system. That's what it's there to do. And we've now got a panel that's reviewing the VAR. How can you get it wrong for a panel to have to look at it? Referee gives no red card on the pitch for Saka, for the foul on Saka. VAR looks at it and goes, fuck. And then you have a drop ball. Why does a panel? Well, the panel didn't even look at that. But what, you know what I mean? Like, why is a panel reviewing VAR? It's the most straightforward system in the world to use. We're watching it in slow motion. We can see what happened. We know that was a foul last week. We know that was a handball last week. Let's do nothing about it. The panel will tell us if we're wrong. Nonsense. Anyway, lots for you to get your teeth into there. Don't forget to listen to the podcast. We're back with a watch along tomorrow. Legends, the lot of you. Get your comments in. Very interested. Quite a lot there. And a bit of a longer show than normal because I had a lot to get my teeth into. Speak care. Take care. Speak to you soon.